Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Like to call the Benefits Task Force to order. Madam Clerk, roll call.
Commissioner Marecki. Here. Commissioner Kenizic. Commissioner Dahl.
Here.
Vice Chair Clark Coleman.
Here.
Chair Bell.
Yes,
You have a quorum present.
thank you. Next item.
Approval of the March 2nd, 2023 meeting minutes.
It's been moved and moved and supported. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Anyone wish to abstain? All right, and we are joined by Commissioner Tim Colleen for this meeting. Thank you, Commissioner. Next item.
Item C, unfinished business. There is none listed. Moving to item D1 under new business, submitted feedback from Wayne County employees regarding benefits, pay, and staffing.
All right, so we've had conversations with our labor relations, our human relations departments. And very important also are the comments and feedback from our employees because they're living this day to day and they have good suggestions. They have good scenarios. So over the last few months, we've received quite a bit of emails. So today I would like for them to be read into the record. Do all commissioners have them?
Yes.
Okay, so we all have them. But I think it's important to read them into the record and for our audience to hear. Hello. And if you want to sit at the table, you can, Madam HR Director and Madam Corp Counsel Assistant or whoever wants to sit at the table, feel free. Because Olivia, is that you in the back? So just so that as these are read and we take notes and we listen to these comments, you all maybe want to jot down some notes in case you want to respond. That's so loud. That's so loud. That's so loud. Am I, can y'all hear me? No, not that noise. Okay. All right. So can everyone hear me? Fine.
Oh, yeah, we can hear you.
You don't even need a mic.
Thank you. Okay, that's good. Thank you. Okay, so again, we're going to read these comments into the record because I think as you listen in, you may want to jot down some notes to either, agree, disagree, rebuke, but just, listen to what the employees have to say and their suggestions. And at the conclusion of this task force, what we're going to do is come up with suggestions that we can then recommend to Ways and Means as we go through budget deliberations and the budget for the next year as it relates to salary, as it relates to benefits, and as it relates to pension issues as well. So today we're going to listen closely as Ms. Amina reads these emails into the record, and then we'll have some conversations after. Okay, Amina, go ahead.
The first comment is from Richard Johnson. Thanks for the opportunity to share some thoughts from employees. I believe first and foremost, the cost share for medical insurance, the county costs exceed the state's 80-20 plan or the hard cap model. This has been very impactful on employees that had gone a long time without raises, and now they are getting something. It is eaten up by the increased cost of healthcare, retirement, inflation. I often hear of complaints of why the constant increases in healthcare and employees are asking for reasons why it is always going up. The locals want transparency in the medical plans so they can better inform to explain to the employees. Contractors are doing more and more work countywide, but in particular in equipment repair. I am told one contractor, Tri-County, does over $1 million of work per year. Obviously, there is a major concern in recruitment and retention of employees. There are hundreds of positions not filled, and that is after hundreds were eliminated and removed from the budget in the last 10 years. In order to rectify the shortfalls in hiring and retention or retaining employees, there needs to be a serious review of wages and benefits. Here are some recommendations to address the issues above. Reduce cost sharing, monthly costs for medical insurance, transparency in costs and plan design for medical insurance, reduce retirement contribution from employees, review the greatest salary plan, annual service adjustments, wage adjustments based on longevity with the county, review of all classifications and qualifications, wage study, training process, develop legitimate succession plans. Thank you for your time and hope I can be of assistance to resolve these issues.
Okay, thank you. Question, does HR have these comments?
No,
No?
not a copy.
Okay, I'll give a copy that just so you can read along and then give it back to us at the end of the meeting. You have an extra
I
copy?
don't have extra copy. Pam, do you have extra
Does
copies?
anyone have extra copy of? Can you give one to Ms. Donna Wilson? Okay. All right, thank you.
Okay. Next comment is from the Governor Administrator Association. Greetings, Commissioners. Happy New Year. The Government Administrators Association, GAA, commends the Commission for establishing the Benefits Task Force. At the initial meeting in November 2022, you asked us stakeholders to submit areas of inquiry and concern for your attention by or before January 12, 2023. GAA thinks an excellent starting place would be to compare benefits received before the consent decrees in 2015 with present benefit levels, including retirement plans. At that time, many employees receive insurance benefits upon retirement and enjoy favorable 401k contribution matching in retirement plans 4, 5, and 6. Wayne County often loses employees to other public employers who offer those benefits plus seniority-based step increases. Additionally, the commissioner should review whether pay minimums and maximums for positions are sufficient to attract and retain employees. Regarding healthcare insurance, employees often expect a slight fractional cost increase each year. In 2023, due to the surge in inflation, health insurance costs increased significantly, which ate away much of the pay increases from the prior year. For example, the IRS has increased the minimum deductible for a high deductible plan to $3,000 per family. We believe stipends for employees' HSA accounts should always reflect inflationary adjustments. Additionally, any cost savings the county receives from providing insurance through one carrier does not decrease employee costs. Employees should have the option to choose from the myriad of insurance carriers in the open market, which means they compete for our business. Many current employees are not eligible to participate in the Health Retirement Trust. All employees receive a small monthly amount toward dental care and must purchase additional insurance to cover their families. The Government Administrators Association believes these concerns are a great starting place to adjust benefits for attracting and retaining employees.
Sincerely, David Skillman. Okay.
Next comment is from Carmen Ramirez. Commissioner Bell, I am a 26, almost 27-year veteran of the Wayne County Sheriff's Office, the fourth Black female commander, the first Black female to run the tether unit, and the first female captain to run the day-to-day operations of internal affairs. I am also a lifelong resident, homeowner, and taxpayer in the County of Wayne. I have dedicated my entire adult life to my career at the Wayne County Sheriff's Office, WCSO. When I was hired in 1996, I was told that I would retire with medical benefits, and I also participated in the 401k that was offered by the county. In 2008, I opted to buy into Plan 6 to the tune of approximately $80,000 at a 2.5% multiplier. This was abruptly snatched away in 2015, and the multiplier was reduced to 1.25%. The reduction will severely impact my bottom line when I begin receiving my retirement benefits. I will have 30 years of service when I turn 55 years old, but because of the executive plan contract, I will not be able to receive all my pension until I'm 62 years old. I will miss out on $978 per month until I turn 62 if I retire. This totals to $82,152 that the County of Wayne will not pay me for the 7 years before I turn 62. It is inconceivable that the executives are forced into indentured servitude working in law enforcement until we are 62 years of age. Not many executives in the plan have been on call 24 hours, 365 days per year, but the commanders at the WCSO are on call as a normal part of the job. This type of lifestyle is not healthy mentally or physically. I personally have been on call since 2015. I'm aware that WCSO is not the only department in the county that had to work through the pandemic. I would assume that the juvenile detention specialist, building trades, and road commission also had to work. The rest of the employees were able to work from home. That being said, the executives that had to physically report to work were given a paltry $2,000 hazard pay that was only given after all other unions were paid. As it pertains to hiring and retention, the county should really start looking at pay and benefit packages. The County of Wayne employees are woefully underpaid when compared to other municipalities. Employees quickly realize that the pay is not worth the hassle of finding and paying for parking, and much of their check being taken away to pay for medical benefits and leave for greener pastures. In addition, there are employees at the WCSO that do not want to promote to commander or above due to the caveat in the executive plan that prevents them from receiving their full retirement until they are 62. This will severely impact the succession plan for the sheriff's office, as there will be mass retirements coming soon. The sheriff's office has already seen a mass exodus and will only get worse over the next few years. Speaking of medical benefits, the county has its employees in a high deductible plan while requiring the employee to pay an astronomical amount upfront. For example, for 2023, I paid $505 per month for medical and $82 per month for dental. If an employee has an unexpected medical issue, they must pay a large deductible along with the money that the county takes out each pay period. My upfront cost for medical per year is $13,130 and $2,130 for dental, for a total of $15,262. I had an unexpected medical incident last year and I paid $3,000 out of pocket. The county is in the black off of the backs of the employees. So when do the employees get any benefit? I will be eligible to retire in 2026 with 30 years of service at the age of 55, and this is what will happen. No medical stipend to assist me with further medical expenses for myself and my family, $978 per month held in abeyance by the County of Wayne until the age of 62. Forced to stay in a stressful job for 7 additional years to receive all my retirement. I will have to seek additional employment to pay for medical. Hopefully, this communication will give the commissioners that are on the benefits and staffing task force a view from the eyes of the loyal employees of the County of Wayne, and a solution can be found to recruit, retain, and provide better medical coverage and retirement benefits. Sincerely, Carmen Ramirez. The next comment is from Lynette O. Kane. Commissioner Bell, I am a 25, 1 month from 26-year veteran of the Wayne County Sheriff's Office and the second Black female deputy chief in the WCSO's history, the first who came up through the ranks. I started in this agency when I was 23 and have spent my entire career here, giving 100+% to the WCSO, including being on 24/7 call for the last 13 years, except for a few vacations, where I am even still expected to respond to emails, texts, calls each year. I come from a family of hard workers and enjoy stepping up to these types of challenges, so I'm not complaining, just stating the facts. My complaints will come when I retire. After having given my all to the County of Wayne for 28+ years, this is what I can expect on or after January 1st, 2025. To be the first deputy chief in WCSO history to receive no medical whatsoever upon retirement, no benefits, not stipend, nothing to take care of myself and my family. Pension only for the years I worked until 2015. I will be able to retire at 51 and will have to wait for 11 years to receive the pension I am owed for working today. I will be given my pension on layaway. To have to apply for a new job immediately due to receiving little more than half of my pension and no medical. I am sure that you would agree that this is not how career Wayne County employees should be treated. To add insult to injury, I am very aware of employees who have spent 8 to 10 years with the county, yet have left with medical benefits and their entire pension upon their separation. The below are my suggestions on ways to take care of all Wayne County employees and to again make the county a place where people want to start and finish their career. change the language that excludes purchase time from being used to calculate eligibility for a retirement medical stipend. When this was changed on October 1st, 2015, the 2 additional years that I bought were certainly not worth the 30,000 plus that I paid for them. On this date, I have been an employee for the WCSO for 18 3/4 years, plus I had purchased 2 years. This was not the original agreement for years purchased. Any employee who gives the county 30 years of their life, purchase years count, deserves some form of medical or medical stipend. No strings attached. The benefit of this is that more employees who are in the same boat as me will decide to stay for a few extra years to receive some assistance with their medical and retirement. This in turn would help to not exacerbate the already existing staffing shortages. Any employee who gives the county 30 years of their life, purchase years count, receives their full pension upon retirement. The benefit of this is the same as above. Many employees who I know are planning to leave the day they can retire because, especially in law enforcement, where we start our careers at a young age, we must get a new job once we retire to supplement our medical bills during the decade that we don't have our full pension and medical. An employee who gives the county 30 years of their life, purchase years count, receives the best 5 out of 7 of their total years' work. The benefit of this suggestion is again on the retention side. More employees will give us a few more years. Any employee who gives the county 30 years of their life, purchase years count, receives a 2.5% multiplier for their pension calculation. Giving 30 years to the same employer is something that should be rewarded. For the WCSO, a much higher raise in the base wages for new officers is needed. I understand that we will not be able to match what the DPD new hires are now receiving, but we must do better. This suggestion is probably the most important one for recruiting efforts. We are at the bottom of the totem pole when compared to wages and benefits at other law enforcement agencies in our area. This makes it extremely difficult to attract and hire quality employees. Again, for the WCSO employees in particular, there needs to be a recognition that although commanders and deputy chiefs are in the executive plan, there should be a special caveat for career WCSO employees who rise through the ranks. Some of our up-and-coming command are not even interested in being promoted, as there is no true benefit for them to take on the stress and challenges that come with being responsible for units on a 24/7 basis, just be put out to pasture with no medical and a layaway pension program or work until they are 62. I am excited to see that someone, maybe a few someones, has finally realized that not treating your people as they deserve to be treated has resulted in the historic lack of recruiting, mass retirements, and staffing shortages that are being experienced throughout Wayne County. I will certainly be listening in to the benefits and staffing task force meetings. Lynette O'Kane.
Okay, one more before we go to a big one for discussion.
Okay. This comment is from Wayne County Prosecutor's Office / Wayne County Jail. It is our understanding that the commissioners assigned to the Wayne County Benefits Task Force will be meeting on January 19, 2003 to discuss the implementation of policies regarding employee benefits for certain Wayne County employees. We would urge you to consider significant increases in funding for the Wayne County Prosecutor's Office so that their cases can be handled effectively and efficiently. Likewise, there appears to be a severe shortage of personnel assigned to the Wayne County Jail. At the outset, we concede fully understand that budgetary constraints, particularly among governmental entities, are a real and substantial issue that must be addressed in a responsible manner. We recognize that there must be a balance between providing effective services and maintaining economic stability of the governmental unit responsible for funding the myriad of departments which it is obligated to adequately oversee. In our view, however, the Wayne County Prosecutor's Office appears to be significantly understaffed and is currently incapable of effectively prosecuting cases. Many of those charges involve offenders who pose a serious risk to our communities, and more importantly, the individuals who reside in Wayne County. The public has every right to expect that victims of crimes will be adequately represented by the Wayne County Prosecutor's Office and that a defendant will be successfully prosecuted where evidence of his or her guilt exists beyond a reasonable doubt. There appears to be a mass exodus of experienced attorneys who have left the Wayne County Prosecutor's Office. Many have seemingly become employed by neighboring prosecutors' offices. Whether that is because of higher pay, better benefits, or a combination thereof is for you to decide. The fact is that there is a severe shortage of Wayne County prosecutors being assigned to out-county district courts, which is bad enough in and of itself. This comes at a time, however, when the processing of cases has become increasingly more difficult. The advent of most cases being conducted via Zoom, the use of digital discovery, and recent technological advances involving body cams, in-car videos, and surveillance videos have resulted in an increased burden on the prosecutor's office to produce that which the defense is lawfully entitled to receive. It is impractical, if not impossible, to expect a single assistant prosecuting attorney to adequately service 4 or 5 district courts simultaneously. Courts are jockeying for the use of the single APA for jury trials on Fridays. That is the only available date for him or her to conduct a jury trial, and are expected to hear dockets on a single day when the fact is that most, if not all, could use at least another half or full day to complete their weekly dockets. Courts ought not permit any party, prosecutors, defense attorneys, or defendants to dictate when and if a case can be heard. While there is always an element of cooperation with both parties when scheduling the case, the fact remains that being required to schedule cases only on certain days creates unnecessary backlogs and requires police officers, defendants, and lay witnesses to needlessly wait for their cases to be heard. Worse yet, overwhelming workloads for APAs have resulted in less than desirable results being obtained on certain cases. The Wayne County Jail likewise appears to be inadequately funded. As you know, in the beginning of a case, a defendant is arraigned and a bond is set. Sometimes a cash bond is required, while at other times a PR bond is given, allowing a defendant to be released without posting money or a surety bond. However, even when a PR bond is given, there are often conditions which are imposed that require a defendant to remain in custody until a certain conditions are met. As an example, a defendant may be required to remain in custody until he or she is fitted with a GPS tether, a SoberLink device, and/or a Scram tether. This occurs in cases where a defendant has posted a bond or is otherwise given a PR bond. While it may seem like a defendant who has posted a bond or was otherwise giving a PR bond should not be required to remain in custody at all, the fact is that the delay in setting up defendants with the required tethers is embarrassing at the least and amounts to false imprisonment at the worst. It can't take 5 and 6 days, often more, to ensure that the judge's order is carried out, which, by the way, is designed to protect the victim. Neither, however, is it fair to a defendant to remain in custody for that period of time. And in fact, a case could be made that it is a blatant disregard of his or her right to liberty. We do not wish to engage in politics. The time has come, however, for us to speak up, as there are serious concerns regarding the administration of justice, which are of paramount importance. Thank you for taking the time to read this email.
All right. All right, and then we have one by the president of GBA, Amanda Smith. I don't know if she's here today. I just want the cover page read, and then we can take a deep dive into all of the documents that she provided, because they've done some research. So go ahead and read this cover page.
Dear Chairperson Bell, at the last Thursday's task force meeting on benefits and staffing, I spoke during public comment on behalf of the Government Bar Association, GBA. As president of the GBA, I represent roughly 160 attorneys who work in the Wayne County Prosecutor's Office, as well as Wayne County Corporation Counsel. Our goal is to work towards increasing recruitment and retention of GBA attorneys, all of whom do critical work for their citizens of Wayne County. GBA has met with prosecutor Kim Elworthy multiple times over the past 6 months. We have provided extensive research and data in support of our request for salary adjustments, the implementation of revised benefits and contract modifications that will improve the daily lives of all GBA members. Each of these requests is grounded in data from nearby counties and is crafted with the goal of making Wayne County a competitive employer. We must face the reality of what surrounding counties are offering in terms of salary and benefits to their employees. These are our competitors, and we have lost countless valuable attorneys to them over the past several years. The GBA endeavors to work with all stakeholders in order to come up with common sense and creative solutions to attract and retain talent to WCPO and Corporation Council. I, along with the rest of the Board of Directors, would be more than happy to meet with you and pay with you and any other commissioner who expresses interest in solving this important problem so that we can provide the best service to all Wayne County citizens. Amanda Morris Smith.
Okay. All right, so what I liked about the letters were that they gave suggestions, which is what we asked for. I mean, they're living it every day. And so each of them provided some suggestions that we can look for. And I'm sorry, did you all get a copy? Did you get a copy, Olivia? So, okay, we'll see if we can get maybe two more. Here, Olivia can have this one. And then Sue, you have up one extra pen? So they gave suggestions based on being on the ground level. And before we go into Olivia and Sue, before we go into this next data piece, because a lot of information was given with nice charts and it compares some salaries to Wayne County, Oakland County, Macomb County, and I want to make sure the administration, and this is for the attorneys, and what the other counties are paying, their starting salary, their benefits. So I just think this is, research that was already done. So we just have to look at it and see what our financial coffers can do to assist these. But before I do that, are there any comments from members on the information that was read into the record? Commissioner Marecki?
Thank you. I just have a question. On one of the letters, somebody mentioned that their pension ended in 2015. I think it is. Was it 15? Yeah, 15.
Mm-hmm.
And when that happened, were people allowed to go into the 401k for the defined contribution program or whatever we call it? So,
does anyone have an answer for that? Olivia?
On the pension side. Commissioners, on the pension side, I don't have a lot of information. That's something that retirement.
And retirement will be at our next meeting, as a matter of
Okay.
fact. But did you have something to say?
No, I was going to say that retirement was going to come and then we
Okay.
would go back and
all
research.
right, I'll wait then. Thank you.
Okay. Commissioner Dodd?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have a different question than retirement, so if
Sure.
there was something,
No,
okay, thank you. So there are a couple, I don't know, I think there were a couple comments about the health insurance packages regarding high deductible plans. Is there just one plan that is offered to employees that's a high deductible plan, or are there multiple packages that people can choose from?
Through the chair, Commissioner, there are multiple packages. There is one PPO plan that is offered as a high deductible, pretty much every to the non-legislative group of employees, which is our largest part here. They are all high deductible health plans, except for one that, and I guess I should qualify and say that they're really all high deductible health plans, all HSA qualified plans, meaning you can contribute tax-free to an HSA, but one of those, what everybody would probably consider a high deductible health plan, is not HSA qualified because it has co-pays under the deductible. So for example, in a high deductible health plan, everything except for, mandatory preventative services are subject to the deductible. That includes, if you have to go in for an antibiotic or anything else, you pay the deductible. So you pay the cost based on the discounted amount. But in the other one, you can get into the one plan with the copay that you could go to get that antibiotic for, $10 copay. That's why it's a little different because the HSA qualified have some rules, but
Okay,
yes.
how much is the deductible? Do you know off the top of your head? I know it
Yeah.
depends if it's like
For
1%.
for the, all of our high deductible health plans, except for that copay plan, it is the minimum set by the IRS in order to make it HSA qualified. So it creeps up every year. And that is currently $1,500 for an individual and $3,000 for a family. Then there's a copay of 20% up to, and I'm trying to remember what the caps are. Those haven't moved because the total out of pocket has not moved since 2015, maybe even before. And that is, do you have that off the top of your head? I'm sorry. I'm trying to remember the top. It's like
Oh,
20,
that's
it's like
fine.
2,600 and 40. Yeah.
4,600.
Yeah. For an
Okay.
individual. So those are capped. So those have not moved. So after that, the plan pays at 100%.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's pretty standard, right? For like insurance packages that companies offer employees.
Well, I don't have a lot of information about the private sector. They are higher. I don't know that they're for high deductible health plans, because we set it at the minimum, that's a good rate. If you're looking at non-high deductible health plans, your standard, more traditional plans, the copay or the deductible is lower, like 500 or maybe, depending on where you're at, 250, 500, 750, 1,000, but you got to hit that 1,500 to get the HSA qualified. So-
Okay. I became a commissioner in 2019, so I've had plans from private companies, and this seems pretty, standard from the private world, corporate world, but I don't know as far as government, what other municipalities offer for health insurance. So, okay, I was just, when they said high deductible, I was just wondering exactly what that was.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair.
If you look at the green sheet from this page looks like this from Amanda, she has a chart. And it talks about, it compares Wayne County, Oakland County, Macomb, and Washtenaw County. With cost of living increases. This is Amanda was the big thick package. And it has the chart. I think that's helpful for you to see the differences of the three counties and the city of Detroit. And again, I hope the administration has this as well. This package here looks like this. So for example,
Yes.
it talks about parking, the health insurance, the salary. And unfortunately, based on what's presented here, it looks like Wayne County charges the most for healthcare. Based on this research, I don't know what the dates were that she got this, but this is just the information from ADA. So this is some good comparison information, and I don't know how accurate it is, but I think it was some good. If it is accurate, unfortunately, we're paying our employees pay more than our surrounding counties for healthcare. But when you look at this, and I guess this is the best chart to look at because it compares everything: parking, healthcare, cost of living increases, FMLA, tuition reimbursement, longevity pay, which we don't have. I mean, this is just a good document to look at. And I would ask that the administration just verify that these numbers are correct. Because if they are, there's obvious reasons why people are leaving Wayne County and going to other counties to work at the prosecutor's office or the clerk's office or the sheriff's office because of these differences that affects their pocketbook. And everybody wants to be paid, accordingly to their skills and talents. And if they're not getting that, they'll go elsewhere. So this is a good document for us to look at. And again, I wanted to make sure that we looked at the different suggestions that people had. And you notice that every employee talked about reducing the retirement. I know we're not talking about that today, and I told you we weren't talking about that today, but for next week, I'm sorry, I said retirement, I mean medical insurance. Looking, what my question is going to be that I hope we'll have answers for at the next time is, what were people paying generally 2014 and what they're paying today? Number one. And number two, as we all know how insurance works, the more people you have in the pot, generally speaking, the lower the cost should be. So have we ever looked at just having one insurance plan? And then what that looks like, instead of having the PPO, the HMO, the legislative, the executive, just one insurance plan, and what that looks like, and if that will lower the cost for everyone. So those are just some questions, that I'll ask if that has been in consideration. As we talk about the medical benefits, as we talk about salaries, as we talk about cost of living, all of these things, because the bottom line is we want to come up with a plan that's going to be able to retain the employees that we have and attract additional employees. And again, the reason this committee was established was because we kept hearing from employees about the things that are prohibiting them from staying or prohibiting them from recommending the county to friends and family who are looking for employment because of the medical insurance piece, because of the salary piece, because of cost of living increases, because of paying the park. I mean, there's a lot of things that we unfortunately don't compete with when you look at other counties. So, Commissioner Dodd?
Thank you, Madam Chair. So, coming from the private corporate world, insurance, and then to here, I was delighted as to what I was paying for health insurance. But now I'm looking at Ms. Morris Smith's chart here, and I'm seeing how much she put down that Oakland County, Macomb County, and Washtenaw charge their employees for insurance. And so I'm wondering what plans they go through and why can't we do the same thing? And also, is there any way to, you mentioned getting more people together. Can we form like some sort of tri-county insurance group, conglomerate or group? Yeah.
And again,
I
that
don't
goes
know
to the
if that
basis of
is-
you have more people in the
Right.
plan, in a pool, then your
Yeah.
cost should go down. And I don't know if that's ever been considered with the other counties. That's a good
You
idea.
want to do that? Is that a
Uh,
thing?
Through the
Thank you.
chair, there have been at least twice, two other times where they have looked at trying to gather a pool.
Mhm.
I'll be honest with you, they didn't really go anywhere, and I don't remember the history. I've got to find my notes to see why. There's some challenges I think that often occur at that time, but let me see what I can find out from my notes, and I can bring that back to you as to what we found. And it doesn't mean that that's not something we can, things change, we could look at again. And you had another question. I'll go back to that.
Do you know what plans that they offer?
I actually have a comparison as well. So, but I don't know which plans she's referring to. So I can't compare completely. So if I can probably find out what the different plans are
Mhm.
and what they're charging at different levels. I'm not gonna in line say our numbers show that we do pay from a contribution standpoint more than the other counties. On benefit design, we're fairly comparable especially when you take into account that annual wage bonus that the county gives to its employees to help them. And for those that, need the assistance and they want to get, and they throw that money into an HSA to make it even work harder for them.
Mhm.
So.
Commissioner Murphy?
How much do we give? I kind of remember this, but how much do we give then for the HSA accounts?
So if they're enrolled in a plan and it's a single person plan, or they don't take a plan at all, we give them $600 for the year. $650, thank you. $650. If they're enrolled as a 2-person, it's $1,000. And if it's a family, it's $1,300.
And that goes right into their account.
It does. And at the time in 2015, I think it was kind of based on about half of what the deductible was for that high deductible. So if you put the money in, you basically reduce your deductible by half.
Right. So, and they can use that right off the bat.
Yes.
It's not after a certain,
Right.
so that would help with with their payments every year.
Yes, I just want to qualify that. New hires, it works a little bit differently because it's a prorated share as they go in, and I think it's given monthly. Is that how that it's given
Okay.
monthly? So for the new hires for that first year, and then after that, at the next time the annual bonus is done, the full amount is deposited in the first check in
And
January.
they can use that for deductibles
Yeah.
and for, okay.
Yes.
All right. I remember that a long time ago, but
Yeah.
forgot about it. All
Yeah.
right. Thank you.
And I wonder to that point, if education is there to employees about
Yes.
that benefit
Yeah.
and how that could,
It's always, it's a struggle. And when we look at the numbers currently, there is I think about 58% of the people who are eligible to actually make the deposit, meaning that they have a HSA qualified, high deductible plan. About 58% of our employees that can make any kind of a deposit do make that deposit into the HSA already. So it's actually a good number, but there's a lot of room for improvement in terms of educating people to put that money in the HSA if they can. But there's a lot of kitchen table problems, right?
right? Good.
Okay, so everybody gets the money, but some of them don't put it into their HSA? Is that what it is
Correct.
basically?
Correct, because some aren't qualified. So everybody gets it, whether they're enrolled in our plan or not.
Okay.
So if they're not enrolled in our plan, in any of our plans, they can't contribute to the HSA. If they're enrolled in the that copay plan, even though it's a high deductible, again, it's not HSA qualified, so they can't put
Yeah.
the money in there. Now, others also use the money and they put it into an FSA instead. So.
And then do others just use the money to go out and
Otherwise,
buy
others can-
something?
Yes.
Okay,
It's cash. It's basically
it's
tax.
basically
Yeah.
cash. Okay, all right, thank you.
Okay, thank you. When it comes to the salary, and I'm talking about the prosecutors now, and I know you just got this, but she gave a proposal of salary increases. Do you know if there's any movement to increase salaries for, I'm looking at this, trying to make this out, for the upcoming fiscal year? For prosecutor, for anybody?
I'm sorry, I was making sure my microphone was turned on. Matthew Carmona, Interim Director of Labor Relations. Yes, we did have a bargaining session with that group. And so that process has begun and we'll be scheduling more. And wages is obviously one of the things being discussed there.
Was that the same with the clerks? Are they in a different bargaining unit?
The clerks are in a different bargaining unit, and we have not been able to schedule anything yet. They are part of a global strategy that's being developed so that we're trying to figure a way to do this most efficiently, because there are certain targeted groups like the clerk's office, but ask me 1659, which represents most of the employees in the clerk's office. They represent employees throughout the entire county.
Mhm.
So we're in the process of working out what will be an efficient strategy to try to get that done.
So there is talks from a labor relations point of view to look at a big picture increase of salaries across the board for all of employees?
I'm hesitant to give a direct answer, and not because I'm trying to, do anything other than vet the county's interests and make sure
Right.
that we are able to effectuate a strategy that makes sense. So I would say generally, yes. The degree of that, I think, is something that is still being worked out, because at the end, we do need to put pen to paper and see how the financials work out.
Right,
right. So I very broadly, I would answer that, yes.
And so we're in what, April? Whatever you're working on, is it to be implemented hopefully by October 1, the next fiscal year? Is that when your goal, I think your goal is to have all of the labor agreements solidified?
Well, so one of the interesting things here is, if you recall, we've done a lot of sort of off-cycle bargaining. We've just completed it, and actually we're probably finishing up one unit still. And so we haven't even finished necessarily an entire off-cycle rotation, and we're getting back at it. I say that only for the purpose of, when you're looking at these things to try to do them, it's very time consuming.
Mhm.
So the past 2 years, what we spent doing was very time consuming, and trying to do this in an effective way is time consuming. That's the only reason I bring that up, just to give a little bit of appreciation that we are trying, and we are trying to move quickly.
Mhm.
And I think, yes, we definitely want to get as quickly as possible. We certainly want agreements with any of them that are set to expire this fall prior to expiration. That is always the goal. And we're looking at ways to make that move quickly. However, it can be complicated when you're trying, even just scheduling and the number of people involved.
Hopefully.
Yes, yeah. So, and trust me, I'm not trying to make excuses, but there are things that are in the works and things where I need to reach out to the union on, and I will be doing very soon.
Okay.
Literally, like some of the stuff this afternoon or tomorrow. So I'm a little hesitant to bring it up here when I haven't had an opportunity to discuss directly with the unions first.
Commissioner Murphy?
Thank you. So how much is ARPA money going to be playing any part of this? Because I've been hearing rumors about 40 million of ARPA money going into raises, into benefits.
That's one that I'm probably not qualified to answer, simply because I think my role as in labor relations of more of what are the parameters, what makes sense. I certainly can offer advice and comparables and things like that. But ultimately, when you're looking at where these dollars come from and how they go, that's ultimately something that is not within labor's.
Okay. Yeah, and my
wheelhouse.
concern, of course, with that would be sustainability, since this is one-time monies, but okay, thank you.
Commissioner Conkleman?
Yeah, so just to follow up on it, I can't see how they could use ARPA money
Yeah.
because it's a one-time payment and you can't sustain it. So, I mean, and maybe they got something that I don't see, but I really can't see how the ARPA funds could be used, because it stipulates that it must be something that is a one-time.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah.
And not a continuum.
Yep.
I'm just looking at the health insurance, I'm on a
Yeah.
bent here about health
Mhm.
insurance. And I'm looking at the health insurance, and how does Macomb County provide zero out of pocket?
I just, before Liv goes into the detail, I'm Donna Wilson, PHR director. So Liv started talking about previously the co-payment and the plan designs. So there are two different functions of a healthcare plan, but also picking up earlier what Commissioner Bell discusses, the education pieces of this and how education and the choices we make impact the bottom line. So I just wanted to bring up those 2 points, that there's a distinction between the co-payments and the plan design comparisons.
Okay,
Go ahead.
Before she goes there. So I'm looking at a health insurance for a single person, $75 per pay period. That's $150 per month. And Oakland County, theirs is $32 per month. And then Macomb County is $0. And then Washtenaw is, so I just don't, what are we not doing? What are we not looking at that Oakland and Macomb and Washtenaw, what are they looking at that we're not? Why can't we provide? Because, and I know you guys are going to go into some really long explanation. That's why I stopped her. I just want a simple explanation as to why, and I'm going back to the fact that that my staffer will not sign up for healthcare here because it's just too much. She doesn't make that kind of money to be able to afford to pay the kind of money that it would cost to get healthcare through the county. So, and I'm going, well, what are they looking at that they can afford to give their employees $32 a month in Oakland, $0 in Macomb County, $75 in Washtenaw, and for us a month it would be $150, but for the cheapest single person healthcare. So give me a simple answer without going into
Joe.
this.
Okay, go ahead.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Right. It's Olivia Calderoni. I wish there was a truly simple answer, but just to remind the commissioners, we are self-funded for the vast majority of our benefits. So all of our pre-Medicare plans are self-funded, meaning that we pay Blue Cross Blue Care Network an administrative fee, that's to process our claims, keep a website, all those things that they have to do, and stop loss insurance, so we don't go over too far. But then we pay for every claim that the county employees and retirees submit at the discounted rate from the carrier, right? So the Blue Cross, they go in, they pay it. Blue Cross then, through a funding mechanism, we get charged back for those costs. I guess, and I'm not really qualified from the financial side, but I'll give it to you kind of. I mean, we have a budget in terms of how much we spend in healthcare and what we can tolerate. Macomb, Oakland County, I think are probably in a little different. They don't have the same legacy costs that we did. And of course, ours are shifted a lot since 2015, but they have a bigger tax base. There's a lot of things that are going on that could impact that. And I'll leave that more to the experts on the finance, that more technical finance side to say, but those all impact it's basically what can we tolerate as a county to what can we afford for the healthcare? That's where it really comes down to. In 2015, this is where we were, and nothing's changed since then. So, that's the question, right?
Okay, I'm just thinking. I don't know if I was an employee. When I started here, I was a stenographer. I was a secretary. I don't know that I would have been able to afford the job because I came here not for the money, but for the benefits. And the benefits at that time was $0. I don't know that I could have afforded to work for the county at that if the county was charging these kind of rates back then. And I know why my staffer will not sign, and I keep after her every year.
Mhm.
She said, I can't afford it.
Mhm.
And I can understand that. When you're making a little bit of money and you got to pay $150 a month for healthcare.
Or a check
Yeah, for the cheapest
per
for one person.
pay. A lot of times it's per pay. That's the thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's right.
Yeah.
It's $150,
Yeah.
but it's
Or more.
cheapest one.
Mhm. And we have in our packet, Commissioner, I showed you that now, and the last meetings packet, we have Siegel. Siegel is our insurance consultant, and they did some comparisons
Yes.
kind of as a that may be a little bit more accurate than what Ms. Smith has. So I would refer everyone to look at that Siegel document because it again talks about all the different counties and what they pay in their different plans. We're still higher than everybody else, but it's a little bit closer than $0 for other counties. And this is our insurance consultant. So I guess what I obviously about, I'm sorry, before I go talking, go ahead, Melissa.
No, Liv covered it with the legacy costs that we have. And then also as we bargain, different wage increases, making sure that we do put on the record that we bargain with the unions, and this is just information sharing, for the purposes of the commission. But also as we bargain healthcare, that we do have some mirror costs too because of our retirees. So they mirror some of our active plans.
Go ahead.
My turn now. Thank you, Madam Chair. And I just wanted to also add that we don't know the details of the Oakland, Macomb and Washtenaw plans. We don't know what they are offering their employees. Like maybe they don't have to pay very much out of pocket for their premiums, but their deductibles might be high. Maybe they don't offer a lot of coverage. So we don't really know,
Yeah.
what they're
Exactly.
offering.
Legal documents, a little bit more apples to apples.
Okay, yeah.
And that packet was in that breakdown was in our last meeting's packet.
Okay.
So I
I have
asked
that
you to
with me
look at it a
today.
little bit,
Mhm.
probably more accurate in comparisons. Again, we're still higher, but it's a little bit more accurate, but it's a little bit more accurate as far as plan design and everything else compared
Yeah.
us to other counties.
Health insurance is expensive in this country.
It is unbelievably expensive,
And even
unnecessarily.
people who have it, don't use it because of, you're paying for your premiums, you have it. But maybe you can't afford it because you have to pay for your deductible, your copay. And, there's been times when I haven't gone to the doctor because I knew that I was gonna have to pay a couple, $100 for the thing, and I wasn't in the position
Right.
to pay.
right,
So,
right.
yeah, even though I had it, the insurance.
And back to Commissioner Clark Coleman's point is you gotta have one or the other. You have either high salaries and bad insurance that's not affordable, or low salaries and zero insurance. But you can't have both. You can't have low salaries and high insurance costs, because again, that just unfortunately prevents people from wanting to take advantage of the great opportunity for careers here at Wayne County. And that's what we want. We want people to understand the benefit of working here at Wayne County and all that we have to offer. But we want to make sure that they can, of course, pay their bills, and provide for their family. So how can we do that where the county is not going bankrupt, but we're still providing for our families as well? There's got to be some kind of middle ground. And based upon the testimony that you heard in those emails, it's becoming increasingly difficult for people to be here or to stay here because of that. And it has got to be something that we can do. And I think at our next meeting, Joe, we probably want to, because my biggest issue or question is financially, what can we afford? You know what I mean? I mean, are we just kind of holding money to our chest for a rainy day, or can we do a little bit more? So what were we doing in 2010 when things were better versus now? I'm talking about insurance, medical insurance. What was the cost to the county
Before we went through this. these cuts.
before we cut everything out? What was the cost to the county? And I know that some of that led way to that. Well, I do understand that we were giving way too much maybe at the time, but there's got to be a middle ground on where we were then and where we are today, and how we can get back to where we were at that time to make it beneficial for people to be here. I would again ask that members look at that Siegel report. At the next meeting, we'll take a deeper dive into medical benefits and then start the conversation with retirement. The pension board commissioned a study on the DROP program and what that means financially to the county. And we have a pension board meeting on Monday, which will have that discussion. And as for what I understand, is a cost neutral, meaning that if we wanted to do the DROP program, that is something that we could probably implement. The Michigan State Police has that to kind of retain their employers. Detroit police officers have, I think Livonia. There's several law enforcement agencies that implement the DROP program to try to help maintain their law enforcement. It's something that can obviously be done across the board, but a lot of them keep it to their law enforcement. So we'll talk about that too, because if it's cost neutral, that should be something that we should start to offer as a retirement benefit. But we'll have retirement and medical at our next meeting, because there's some questions that Joe asked that we'll have answers to for that meeting to have that discussion. I think we're wrapping up probably with salaries. You all have given us some information where people are, where we hope to be. I know a lot of it's negotiated in the CBAs, but again, we want to make sure that things are being offered, because the thing that I thought was interesting when I go back to this chart that the young lady did was longevity pay, which we don't give, and the other counties seem to do parental leave, and the salary increases, we give them at the top of the fiscal year, and it looks like they give them halfway year. They give them every 6 months, it appears, at 26 weeks is what Oakland Macomb gives. Instead of giving it in October 1, they give it like twice. And I guess that's probably a bargaining issue. But that's interesting that they get it twice in a year as opposed to just the one time. So please look over this information, the administration, if there's something that you'd like for us to give you just to kind of help guide where we go from here, because this is a partnership on making this happen. We have to have buy-in from the administration. And I know you all know this is as important as we know as the commission, but we're going to have, again, recommendations at the end of this process, which we will strongly encourage be taken up by the administration and brought to us and brought to the unions to really, again, help keep our employees here and get more employees. Any final questions before we break for today? Well, please read all this information. Again, if there's something extra, please, committee members, go to Joe if he wants some particular questions asked that we can ask the administration and have those conversations at the next meeting. And we look forward to continuing this and hopefully wrapping up by the end of June. All right. Thank you. I'm sorry. Next, Madam Clerk. I don't want to get up and leave. I know. I forgot. Madam Clerk.
Next item is item E, such other matters as may be properly submitted before the committee.
None.
Moving to public comments.
Is there anyone in the audience or on Zoom for public comments? Anyone in the audience or on Zoom for public comments?
All lines have been prompted to unmute.
Okay. Anyone? One more time, anyone on Zoom? Anyone on the telephone? Okay, hearing none. Next item.
Adjournment.
There motion to adjourn?
To adjourn.
All right. Thank you all so much for your time. We will continue this. Thank you.
I know.